This episode of Ratified is brought to you by Decathlon. With over 70 sports, check them out at decathlon.ie. Or better still, visit one of their stores in Dublin or Limerick. Practice any sports you love or all of them. We've got all the gear ready for you.
Welcome back to another episode of Ratified. I'm here with the lads again, brought to you by Decathlon. And today, lads, we're going to talk about what it takes to win. So, Paddy, winner of 7 All Irelands, what, in your opinion, does it take to win?
Like, I would say for any team, it's very rare in any sport, GAA we're talking about here, for a team to come out of nowhere and win an All Ireland. You know, it's usually a journey. Generally speaking, there's a bit of heartbreak along the way, and teams develop. Maybe get that street smarts or that edge that we talk about that probably needed to win the tightest games against the best teams. And certainly, the end of my Dublin career, we were very fortunate. We ended up winning most of the games and we won All Irelands. But I had 4 or 5 years at the start of my Dublin career where we were miles away from that. And that journey, those defeats, I suppose it's how quick you can learn from them. We spoke in a previous episode that we're talking about idols and stuff. You try and pick up bits. Whatever team is successful, you try and think, well, what did they do to make them so successful? Or how are they winning those games? Or how are they consistently performing at the top? And for us with Dublin, that was a massive part of it. We'd get to a certain level, and then we come up short against a brilliant Kerry team or a brilliant Tyrone team who were just further down the line than we were, and ultimately as well a big part. They're probably better players at the time as well, but it's a journey to try and be successful, and we learnt a lot from those hard defeats. You know, you learn a lot more from their defeats than their victories. But for us, it was the ability to kind of suffer that heartbreak and have that resilience to come back. And not all players do. Some players are unfortunate, like Kieran Whelan or the likes, played 10 or 12 years for Dublin and not winning All Ireland. But I think with the group we had, the coaches we had, and the setbacks we had, we were able to learn from them and eventually get over the line. And I think we'd all say, once you win one, that gives you like a weight off your shoulders, allows you to relax a little bit more, and it's not as new then that you come to All Ireland finals and it's like, we've been here before, we know what to expect. And I think any team trying to be successful, it is a journey, and you need to be patient at times. Like when's the last real surprise? Even Armagh winning the All Ireland last year, they had incredible heartbreak in the Ulster Championships and penalty shootout defeats. And I listened to them speaking after the All Ireland over the off season. Those things helped tighten the bond. Those bits of devastation nearly make you redouble your efforts. You leave no stone unturned. I'm sure you would always think we're doing everything we can, and then you go out and lose a big game and you realise there's actually margins for improvement here and things like that. So Dublin were no different.
So like in the first 4 or 5 years, was it a preparation thing that changed after that?
Definitely. Like yeah, a bit of it. We didn't know any different. You know, we hadn't had the success. You're kind of trial by error a bit, but I would have said, we spoke about it previously, and Marc, we were playing against you guys, like, you'd be probably better placed to say why Dublin weren't winning. But I think we were naive on the pitch, maybe naive off the pitch as well. Just our focus was probably not on ultimately delivering our best performances. We maybe got caught up thinking of the end game. You know, wouldn't it be amazing to win the All Ireland? When the real thing is about trying to perform to get you to that level in the first place. And look, that's what happens for any teams. If you haven't been there before, there has to be a first team, and usually it takes those defeats. We lost to Tyrone in 2008, got a really heavy defeat out here in the rain. Tyrone would go on and win the All Ireland. Then we played Kerry in 2009, and we thought, oh, we're well set now, and we go and lose that game by 17 points. And it's not just one thing, a combination of things where we were really willing to pay the price and try and get over the line. And I would say, looking back now, it has to be all-encompassing. It has to be everything, every decision you make in your life, what you eat, what time you go to sleep at, how you recover. It's not just Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. It's your life. And people may say that sounds like a lot. And it is a lot. But those sacrifices, ultimately, if you get what you want, we've all won All Irelands, it's worth it.
Yeah, and that's what people always say, like when you go into a dressing room, like is or however long we're here, 9 months, whatever, like this has to be
everything.
your number one, like,
And it does.
like, and that includes family. Like when you go into a scenario like this, into a dressing room where you're trying to win an All Ireland, like make no bones about it. Like your family has to come second for these 9 months. Like
It does.
now, obviously you have to be there if something happens or anything like that, God forbid. But like you have to put the 5 days training or 6 days, whatever it may be, into this. Like, and if you don't do that, like you're eventually going to come up short.
What I would have found, Bubbles, with us, it wasn't just while you were there in the group. It was everything away from that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And if I'm thinking how I finished from where I started, and a lot of players in this scenario within Dublin, the attention to detail, you know, when I started in 08, 09, you think you're doing everything. You go, we're so well prepared, and then you compare it to the time you finish in 18, 19, 20.
You don't understand.
Yeah.
You just-
The attention to detail was relentless, and this is where someone like Jim was incredible, but there is no shortcut to it. You have to be willing to, I used to say, pay the price. Every team starts out, would you like to win the All Ireland? Yeah, of course, we'd love to do it. How much would you love to do it?
Are you willing to do it?
Yeah, and that's, I realised that the older I got, and as a team I think we understood that, and that would be the biggest thing. You've got to...
There's so many parts to it, though. I mean, there's obviously your own part that you play in it, and but you're only a very small part of the jigsaw. But like, you have to get your part right, because like you want to be on the team, number one, and then collectively as a group, every fella has to be doing their bit. Every fella has to be like, I mean, if you have a great team, obviously that's going to help. Particularly if you have a situation where you have 30 fellas and you're sitting down watching 30 fellas training. You want to be on that 30. You want to create competition. I go back to say my first game, 2002, the final. What happened there? That was a huge learning curve for me because obviously lost the All Ireland, played poorly, got taken off after 50 minutes around that. Like I could have gone either way then, like, you know, and I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to win an All Ireland with Kerry. But when you have fellas around you that want to do that as well, it definitely makes it easier. But then there's situations that happen, I think, within the setup. Say if I cast my mind forward to 2006 and Kerry playing really poorly, no sign of any All Ireland the way we were playing. Then all of a sudden, little tweaks made by the management. Kieran Donaghy moved from midfield into full forward. And that really helped the team, you know. So I think that's what I mean, that all parts of it have to actually work. The management, and there has to be a buy-in from everyone. Everyone has to be rowing in the same direction. What's the All Blacks mantra? No dickheads, you know, and that comes into it. And I mean, I suppose the big one in that is if you're not starting. Are you going to be the person who's going to throw the ties out of the pram? Or are you going to row in, and when you do get your opportunity that you're going to take it? And you know, we spoke about Armagh. Like say, I remember them back in the day, say when they were knocking on the door before they won it in 2002, they were there, 99 beaten by Meath, who won the All Ireland, 2000 beaten by Kerry, who won the All Ireland, 2001 beaten by Galway, who won the All Ireland, and then they come along and they win it in 2002.
It's a journey, like.
It is a journey. It is. And it's the same for every county that wins the All Ireland. It's a journey. And
Marc,
like you guys did, and ye did, when you win your first one, we did it as well. When you win your first one, I know it gave me huge confidence. Winning your first All Ireland gives you huge confidence. You win your first one and it propels you. And it brings you to a new level, I think, in terms of your own confidence, and as a group, what the team, we know we did this already, we know we can do it. Let's do it again. And you get a small bit greedy because you want to do it again. And you want to taste that success again. But what I found actually was when we lost, that gave me more hunger. Anytime we lost, we kind of came back the following year and won. Like, we lost 0-2, okay, we didn't win it 0-3, but we came back in 0-4, we won it. We lost the final in 0-5, we came back in 0-6, we won it.
And 7.
We won it in 7. We lost in 08, we came back in 09 and we won it. So like, we probably should have won 1 or 2 more of those, but that's, that's life. But in terms of the group, we knew we had a group that was good enough, But we sacrifice, put everything on the line, be the most selfish person that you have to be. As Paddy said, outside the group, getting the sleep, getting the right food, you know, not socialising, not drinking, all of that came into play. And if you have that, I think you've...
But Marc, just for you there, if you go back in this what we're talking about, say the Saturday night before the 2002 final, you think you're ready. You've done everything.
Yeah.
And then you lose and you come back, the semi-final against Tyrone in 03, you guys think you've done everything and you're ready. Yeah. And that's the journey. There is more. There's always a little bit more. And that's to have that hunger and have the realisation and not, I say, we've seen teams, we've seen players get setbacks and they don't come back from it. That resilience, selfishness, single-mindedness, maybe not the nicest people to be around for wives or friends or family, but you have to have that mentality. And for my own personal side of things, it took me 4 or 5 years to get that. But I'm glad I did it. But it's hard to be successful without it.
When you lose, or if you get to a final and you lose and you think, right, there's all, I need to gain 1%, that doesn't mean you haven't made the sacrifice in the year that you lost. It just means it might just be that you came up against a better team.
Yeah.
You know, but
you also have to have the rub of the green too in certain things
It doesn't mean that you're not making that sacrifice. It just means that, right, we're after losing to a better team. What little bit extra can I do to maybe get over the line next year? You know, that, it's not that you're not making the sacrifice.
No, it's not.
Sometimes it can be, and it's funny you mention that, because I often feel sometimes we overestimate how much we tried harder than the team that we lost, that we beat, and how very often we're very fortunate to have had the great team that we had and to have had each other, and that gave us a gigantic advantage in the first place. And that doesn't mean that the other team are not making all of those sacrifices. I remember meeting. I think it was David Collins from Galway. Meeting him on a trip. It was a Super 11s trip, I think, and we met him. We met him a while afterwards, and he said he hadn't drank since that trip. Now, this could have been 9-10 months. Now he did all that to be on the losing side of a Galway team. Did he sacrifice anything less than the team that wins? No, and history is always written by the winners as well. So you're looking at it from a different perspective. And sometimes maybe we overlook all of the things that happened. First of all, certainly in hurling, none of the hurling championship winners, Limerick, Clare, Cork, if they do get over the line, your own Tipperary team, Michael Kenny team, none of them got to that stage by accident. They all had incredible underage success. Doesn't mean that every player won a minor or an under-21, but they were built on your Dublin team, that incredible under-21 team. You guys won a huge amount. They're built on all of those things over a period of time to put you on the platform to allow you to win. So we're not competing against half of the teams in Ireland because they haven't put in the same type of effort, or not effort, but they haven't been exposed to the same sort of environment over the last 20 years. So you're only competing with your small little group, and then it's, you're on the pitch, and it's, a lot of it happens there, I think,
the margins are fine at that level.
Yeah, people often say then as well that, managers will often say in dressing rooms that, we have the work done now, lads. We have to go out there and do it.
We're after training harder than them.
In other words, the job is done. Let's get on the pitch and collect the cup. Whereas I've often found that actually the match, while yes, you're prepared to an incredibly intense level, but delivering on the day is incredibly tough. With all of the pressure and the environment that you're in and how things can go wrong, and we all have bad days, but to be able to turn something around and scrape something out of it, and to be able to win when the moment matters most, there's a skill in that. And
it's a mentality thing.
Absolutely.
Usually,
and the
it
winners
takes time to get to that.
Absolutely.
You're talking about underage teams. That's what I'm talking about. The journey. I'm thinking, Leicester City winning the Premier League is one anomaly where it's out of absolute left field they reach the pinnacle. But that is such an exception to the rule. Sport is about building towards that. If you want to achieve the ultimate prize, it's that. There's no secret sauce. It's years of underage coaching, schools, success, that worked for me. Heartache, that didn't work for me. We spoke to a couple of the Kerry girls, obviously they won the All Ireland last year, but they spoke about being in the final the year before and Dublin wiped them. We were kind of asking them, what was that like? Because we just weren't ready mentally for the All Ireland final and the build up and everything that came with it, and we learned the lessons from it and went into gear and took that into the following year's final and came back. So that's a far more common way to say you have that defeat, and if you're smart enough and you're open enough to say, okay, we messed, that's on us, not looking everywhere else for excuses and going, we didn't win that game because we didn't give ourselves the best chance. Yes, there's brilliant teams and you credit to your opposition and all that stuff, but you have to be willing to learn and look in the mirror as well as much as anything, and that's usually a key part of a team's success.
I suppose like a lot of the sacrifice comes from the players, but I think like for teams to be successful, the most sacrifice comes from your family and your partner, your wife, girlfriend, whatever it is, and your parents. Like you were talking about underage success.
You were just saying this, you're in the doghouse or something, eh? Yeah. So what's going on here, Bubbles? Come on. But, is everything all right at home?
Shut up. But like you're talking about like underage success, like your parents driving you to minor, under 16 trials, minor trials. Like that's a huge sacrifice. Like you know, to get into a car every Saturday morning or Sunday morning or whatever it is, like to bring you, and then you eventually make it and you're getting a bus, like and all that. But like I see with my nephew, like last year, the last 2 years, like trying to make minor panels, like it's just like they're in the gym Monday, they're training Tuesday, they're in the gym Thursday, training Saturday, Sunday. Like the sacrifice that we'll say parents have to put in. Like back when I was a minor, which you're in and around the same time, you're slightly older, lads, but you know, the sacrifice. Even now, it's even a lot more. Like you know, so like whatever about the sacrifice it takes from a player, like the sacrifice that, as you said earlier on, Paddy, like. You're not a nice person like when you're going through this. Like my mother has said it numerous times. Like, she hated me when I was hurling for Tipperary.
She wasn't the only one.
But like I'd be coming home and like I'd just be
foul humour.
Foul humour the whole time, and like so the very minute then that she knew I was finished, like it's like a weight lifted off her shoulder, like you know, and so they're I think they're huge as well in helping. Say not as a collective, like, but on a personal level, like I think they're massive. Like.
But if you played shite in training on a Tuesday and you're going home after the training, like you are like a dog until you get back on the pitch
and hit someone
and right the wrongs that happened and like you know, because that was always important for me. That training was huge. Like you had to be performing in training. That's like I made the point the year I retired that it was like say it was a really hard year because I wasn't performing in training. But like say that has to be a given, like that you're a default setting that you're performing day in, day out in training. That consistency is building. But you take a team like say Mayo, you've had years of battles with Mayo. Yeah. You know, and like you talk about sacrifices. Those Mayo fellas.
They were an incredible team, like 100%.
Incredible team. They didn't get over the line. Possibly deserved to get over the line without a doubt. And they had fantastic players in every position of the pitch. They had great players. Obviously, Dubs had better players. There's no doubt about that. But that Mayo team, like, were so unlucky in certain occasions. Mm-hmm. And I do believe luck does come into it in certain games. For example, our game against Donegal in 2014, the final. Durkin's kick out, Donaghy grabs it, ball in the back of the net. Last kick of the game, McFadden, ball is palmed out to McFadden, hits the butt of the post, could have gone in. Goes in, it goes to extra time or all those little things. We played G in 2016. Referee missed a check on Peter Crowley. Kevin McMenamin.
It's a great tackle.
The Dubs go down the field. Kerry would have got a free in for that. Would have been a draw game. Dubs go down the field. That incredible score by Diarmuid Connolly. Yeah, that's a 2-point game then all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. But like you get the breaks certain days, you don't get the breaks on other days. And I firmly believe, most teams now are putting in the same effort as the teams that are winning it. But obviously, if you're a better team, you're going to win. But also, luck does come into it in certain occasions.
Yeah. The sacrifices are definitely the same. I think what it takes to compete is probably, we all know what it is, and then what it takes to win is just a tiny little bit more after that. But I think the hardest part is actually whatever it takes to compete. That's where the sacrifices are. You know, what it takes to win is a little bit about, right, we got the rub of the green, or we had an incredible dressing room, we had incredible characters, we got no injuries. You know, we kept everybody on the pitch. We talk about like Kilkenny going for 5 in a row. Like we lost Brian Hogan and Henry Shefflin for the final. You know, like things like that. I think are I think they're understated, because the sexy answer is to say, oh, we're born a little bit different and we did all of this stuff. It's like what I said earlier. You know, that's what people like to think, is that, oh, there's some sort of secret sauce there. Yeah. But actually, it's like, and it becomes part of your routine. Like I think of when I first started playing underage. You mentioned underage, Bubbles. Like I remember playing minor with Kilkenny, and we have to be collected for training. Every person in the management would have a little route that they'd have to go through, and I was first stop. Myself and Paddy would be picked up in the same car. But I remember doing my leaving cert, and I'd be collected at 4:45. Now I'd get the bus home from town at 4 o'clock, and I would be only home at 4:20 or whatever, and I'd have to run in, get something to eat, and I'd be straight into the car. Like I was studying for leaving cert at 6 a.m. in the morning, you know, doing homework up at the crack of dawn, trying to do this stuff, to do get all the normal stuff, the stuff you're supposed to do out of the way, because, you know what, training is more important. Like, did it ever cross my mind for my mother to say, oh, he can't hurl this year, he's doing his leaving cert? Not a chance. You know, it's accepted. I've never been to my youngest sister's a good bit younger than me. She's 14 years younger than I am. So when I was hurling right throughout all of her. I was never at her communion. I wasn't at her confirmation. I wasn't at any birthday. None of this sort of stuff. But it was just like, it wasn't even questioned.
It was the norm.
You know? That's the norm. You know,
like all of us thought that was the norm. Like I was best man for my brother's wedding. Like, and have one drink. I done the best man speech completely sober. Made an absolute
You're supposed to do it sober.
Like, you know, you'd have a drink or two out throughout the day. Like, you know, like they're the sacrifices you go. Like, I remember going to my sister's wedding as well. Like during COVID, we were playing Waterford the day after the wedding. Like, and it's just, you know, these are the things that you just have to do.
I missed my sister's wedding and my brother's wedding.
You missed them?
Missed them, yeah. We were playing that day, like. But I would have had this conversation with like your mates and stuff, and you miss out on leaving sort of holidays and all the nights out and stuff. But when you're 18, 19, 20, that's very important. And I remember just having a chat with a close mate of mine. He goes, "We'd swap with you in a heartbeat."
Oh yeah.
Chance to go down on that pitch and we play and be successful and represent your county. It puts it in perspective. I wouldn't change anything. You were an awful bollocks at times when you were playing, but I would have felt that was a key part of having that success. But I'd say from our perspective, we've all played in bad teams as well. Maybe not a county, but clubs or schools or colleges or whatever. And one of the key differences I'd always say with teams that weren't successful, just didn't perform, and teams that did and went on and won things, a big thing was like the connection within the group, with the players, coaches, everyone. And some of that, people from the outside might look in and it might look a bit fluffy or whatever like that, but I just think that connection within a group, any successful team I've been involved in at any level has had that. The players care about each other, the coaches care about the players. Yeah, maybe, you know, everyone is just on the same page, pulling in the same direction, and chatting with a couple of teammates who've stepped away from Dublin and who went back. Jack McCarthy won't mind me saying this. Jack finished up, he's retired about 4 times. But he went back in 2023. I met him. And he's like, I'm going to go back. I was looking at him like, he's 2 heads. I was like, why? You were adamant to get out when he did. And he just said, he wanted to go back. He still felt he had something to offer, which he did. Obviously, you know, whatever, 6 or 7 months later, Dublin would go on and win that Ireland in 2023. But he said something that stuck with me. He's like, how often in your life are you going to operate in an environment where there's probably 50 people, between your coaches, your physios, everyone, players, every single person is pulling in the same direction, and every single person would sacrifice anything for you. And in business, in sport, in different teams throughout your life, just made me think, it is quite a rare place to operate in.
And everybody gets exactly the same out of it at the end. You know,
that was his point. You know, he'd been out of it.
Yeah.
You mentioned there about missing your sister's wedding. Do you miss your brother's wedding as well?
Yeah.
But what kind of a conversation is that at home? How does that go down? Do they understand?
Yeah, I feel like look, your family knows you as well as anyone, like, and I don't think they really cared, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was like, married to, we have a lot of focus on your day and things like that, but...
You missed the whole day? Gone?
Yeah.
But then at the other end of it, like...
There was no issue. Like, it was kind of your family knows is like, well, we know how important that is to you. Again, like I say, you have to be a bit selfish about things. But it was never a big issue. It was like, you're chasing your dreams. I was only young fella for my sisters. I was a bit older for my brothers. Got day 2, which was good crack now. I made up for it. But no, I think if anyone understands it, it's your family. Like,
Yeah, but wouldn't they rather see you go on
yeah,
winning All Ireland than miss a day for...
My sister's down, she lives in New Zealand. She's been down there got married in 2001, so she's been down there 24 years now. She's great life down there, but one of the most special All Irelands, 2015, we beat Kerry in the rain and she came home for it. I have 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters, and I remember that night, they were all at the match. I were at the hotel, amazing photo of me, man, Dad have it up at home in the sitting room, and there's the 7 of us with Sam Maguire, and that's the beauty of family, lads. They back you to do anything. And
you could have had that picture without the Sam Maguire if you went to the wedding.
Yeah, maybe. You wouldn't have enjoyed it as much now, but no, that was part. Look, I'm sure we all have stories like that.
It is though. I think, like, I don't know which of us touched on it. Playing for our county, it's so privileged.
Oh, it's amazing.
So we're like, I mean, we are so privileged to do what we do, and I think people understand that and the sacrifices that we put in. And when there's a situation, if there's a wedding like that, I think that they do understand those sacrifices, the trainings that you do, the weight sessions that you do, the early morning sessions at 6 a.m. or whatever it is. I remember, I'd say the early years, 2002 maybe, on the bus, sitting next to Seamus Moynihan, seasoned campaigner at the time. He was captain. But driving into Croke Park anyway, and the Kerry fans, and they realised it was the Kerry bus, and this young kid anyway, and he lifted up his top to show us his Kerry jersey underneath, like, and he was just like jumping with joy. And I turned to Seamus and I said, geez, wouldn't you love to be that young fella now, not a care in the world, and not have the nerves that we have going into Croke Park, like? And Seamus says, no, Joe, this is where we want to be. This is where we should be, and this is where we're going. And like, it totally changed my concept of thinking, like, and the way he was thinking and the way he was in the zone. And he was right. It was a privileged place to be, like, and I always think back on that and how lucky we are, because the amount of people that would take your arm off to play for Kilkenny or Dublin or Tipperary or Kerry or whatever it is, do you know what I mean? To play inter-county, and not everyone gets that opportunity, and we are lucky.
But it's like that, like, it takes a lot of sacrifice to get there, like, but when you win an All Ireland out there on that pitch, like, there's, we'll say 45,000 people there wishing that they were out there, like, so, like, but you do take it for granted, like, after you win, it's just all about celebrating with your teammates and your family and stuff like that, but like, there's 100 other 22-year-olds wishing that they'd be out there, like,
Absolutely, yeah.